I'm based in Singapore, covering all ASEAN member states. I'm so honored to be here and moderate this important panel discussion. The Korea Times and Jeju Peace Institute are pleased to host this event to mark the 50th anniversary of ASEAN. I'm sure that you will have a great takeaway from today's discussion. Before we begin, let me briefly walk you through today's discussion. First, we will have a keynote speaker, Mr. Shin Yoon-hwan, President of Korean Association of Southeast Asian Studies and political professor at Seogang University. He will deliver a speech on the future of ASEAN-Korea cooperation. Then, senior journalists from Malaysia, the Philippines, and Singapore will have a panel discussion on diverse issues, including ASEAN integration, the relationship between ASEAN and Korea, and the role of media. Then finally, we will have a short Q&A session. Now, let me start by inviting our keynote speaker. Please welcome today's keynote speaker, Mr. Shin.
안녕하십니까. 우선 그 아세안저널리스트라운드테이블에 초청해 주신 주최처 제주포럼 코리아타임즈 감사드리고 또 본 패널을 기획해 주신 김재경 국장님께 감사드립니다. 이렇게 중요한 회의에 기조연설을 하게 되어서 굉장히 영광스럽게 생각합니다. 오늘 제가 세 분 패널리스트 한 분 사회자분과 함께 생각하고 또 고개를 여쭙고자 하는 것은 과연 한국과 아세안 그 서로 미래의 생존과 번영을 공유할 수 있는 수준의 그런 특별한 관계를 맺을 수가 있을까 하는 것입니다. 저는 이 특별한 협력 관계를 편의상 약간 운동권적 용어지만 한 아세안 연대론이라고 부르겠습니다. 이 한 아세안 연대론은 지금까지 한국과 아세안 국가들의 지도자, 경제인, 학자, 언론인들이 주장해온 한 아세안 지역 협력론 내지 협력 강화론에서 한 걸음 더 나아가는 것입니다. 한 걸음 더 나아갔다 이렇게 표현하는 것은 좀 솔직히 말씀드려서 조금 겸손한 표현이고 실은 질적으로 수준과 차원을 달리한다고 감히 주장하고 싶습니다. 현재 한 아세안 관계를 지배하는 담론이라고 볼 수 있는 지역협력론 또는 지역협력 강화론이라고 하는 것은 한국과 아세안 개별 회원국들 간에 이루어지는 비정치적 군사안보적 분야, 특히 경제 분야의 협력을 가장 중시하고 또 양측 간의 협력은 정부가 민간 부분에 의해서 주도되어야 하고 또 한국 아세안 서로 상호 보완적인 그 산업 구조를 갖고 있고 또 상호 보완적인 분업 체계를 구축할 수 있다 이런 것을 골자라고 했습니다. 경제협력의 주된 내용은 말할 것도 없이 무역과 투자입니다. 실제로 지난 30년간 한국과 아세안 교역은 50배 이상 늘어났습니다. 그리고 그 비중은 한국의 전체 교역에서 차지하는 비중은 2배로 늘어났습니다. 그리고 2010년 이후로 아세안은 중국에 이어서 두 번째로 중요한 한국의 아세안은 두 번째로 중요한 한국의 교역 대상입니다. 또 한국은 아세안에는 5번째, 6번째로 중요한 그런 상대 교역 지위를 유지하고 있습니다. 그리고 투자를 보면 계속 불침을 거듭했지만 그러면서도 항상 2위 내지 5위를 유지해왔고 지금은 대미국 투자에 비해서 두 번째로 큰 규모를 자랑하고 있습니다. 아세안의 입장에서 보면 한국은 6번째 내지 7번째로 큰 외국인 투자자입니다. 한국이 아세안 국가로부터 확보하는 건설 수주 규모는 거의 변함없이 중동에 이어서 두 번째를 차지하고 있습니다. 요즘 그 한아세안 협력에서 각광을 받는 분야는 사회문화적인 분야, 사회문화 분야입니다. 2012년부터 동남아 지역은 한국인들이 가장 많이 여행하는 그런 관광지가 되었습니다. 중국을 앞서고 있습니다. 작년에는 그 수가 무려 600만 명에 이르렀습니다. 또 동남아를 여행하는 한국인들을 동남아에서 보는 한국인은 물론 동남아 영내에 동남아 사람들을 제외하고 중국이 다음으로 많은 수를 차지하고 있습니다. 일본인들을 앞서고 있습니다. 또 한편 한국을 방문하는 동남아인들의 수는 작년에 처음으로 200만을 넘었었습니다. 그렇지만 이 수는 200만에 불과하다고 할 수가 없고요. 지난 10년에 비해서는 무려 3배 이상, 그리고 불과 5년에 비해서 2배 가까이 늘어나고 있어서 걱정하고 있습니다. 2014년 이래 한국은 중국과 홍콩 다음으로 동남아 사람들이 좋아하는 그런 관광지가 되었습니다. 그리고 이제 다른 측면에서 한국은 16년째 세계에서 꼴찌를 다투는 저출산 국가입니다. 출산율이 세계에서 꼴찌를 다투고 있습니다. 이대로 가면 2200년쯤 되면 한국 사람들이 한 1000만 명 이하로 떨어지고 2700년이 되면 한국 사람이 이 지구상에 사라집니다. 인과학적인 예측도 있습니다. 그리고 또 최근에 한국의 어떤 풍조, 만원이나 미혼 풍조가 국제결혼의 정의를 갖고 있는데 동남아인들 가장 최근에 특히 베트남인과의 국제결혼이 가장 큰 비중을 차지하게 됐습니다. 그래서 이제 베트남의 지도자들조차도 공산당 과거 옛날에 공산당 당서기조차도 이제 스스로 없이 한국이 베트남과 사도국가가 되었다. 사동국가가 되었다라고 얘기했습니다. 그리고 또 우리 한국 사회를 들여다보면 최근에 학령 인구가 감소하면서 문화를 위기에 처한 한국의 대학들이 많이 있습니다. 그래서 이 한국의 대학들을 또 사용하고 있는 것이 중국 유학생이어서 동남아 유학생들입니다. 그리고 문화를 보면 두말할 필요도 없이 한류가 그 중심에 자리를 잡고 있습니다. 한류는 빨리 확산되지는 않지만 동남아 문화 역시 한국에서 점점 인기를 얻어가고 있습니다. 다음으로 정부의 역할에 대해서 말씀을 드리겠습니다. 지역협력론이라는 것은 앞서 말씀드린 경제협력이 민간 부분에 의해서 주도되기는 하지만 정부가 적어도 제한적이고 보조적인 역할 정도는 수행해야 한다 이렇게 생각합니다. 어떤 일이 있어도 정부는 보호무역이나 외국 투자를 제한하거나 이런 걸 해서 어떤 국가 간의 경제의 흐름을 막아서는 안 된다. 이렇게 이야기를, 국제적인 경제의 흐름을 막아서는 안 된다라고 생각합니다. 더 나아가면 그 흐름을 가로막는 어떤 법적, 제도적인 그런 장벽을 제거하고 적극적으로 경제협력을 도모하는 일에 앞장서야 된다고 생각합니다. 그래서 1989년에 선포된 한 아세안 대화관의 다이얼로그 파트너십 민간 부분이 주도하는 한 아세안 협력에 대해서 그동안 민간 부분이 주도해온 한 아세안 경제협력을 정부가 돕기 위해서 발벗고 나서더라 이렇게 볼 수가 있습니다. 그 뒤로부터 30년 가까이 하였습니다. 그리고 한 30년 동안 아세안 각국 정부, 한국 정부는 다양한 방식과 채널을 통해서 이 경제협력을 정진시키는 그런 지원책을 다양하게 내놓고 있습니다. 그리고 특히 2009년부터 2009년까지 완성된 상품 서비스 투자 전 분야에 걸친 한 아세안 자유무역지대 FTA는 경제협력을 제도적으로 극대화할 것이다 이렇게 말씀드릴 수가 있습니다. 사회문화 분야에 대해서 사실은 정부가 취하는 조치는 좀 애매모호해서 이 경제협력에 대한 정부 일관된 입장과는 조금 괴리를 보이고 있습니다. 마지막으로 한 아세안 지역 협력 강화론자들은 한국과 아세안의 산업구조가 상호 보완적이다, 컴플리멘터리하다라는 점을 굉장히 강조를 하고 있습니다. 아세안은 자원과 노동력을 가지고 있고 한국은 자원과 기술을 가지고 있다라는 사실을 주목하고 있습니다. 그래서 서로 비교 위에 있는 경제 요소들을 교환을 하게 되면 구체적으로 아세안의 노동력과 한국의 자원이 결합하고 한국의 기술과 아세안의 자원이 결합하면 어떤 각 우리 양측을 갖고 있는 어떤 경제적인 과제, 고용을 창출한다든지, 생산비를 절감한다든지, 자원을 개발한다든지, 우리가 경제 성장을 지속한다든지 하는 그런 그 성과 효과를 얻을 수 있다. 그래서 둘 다에게 윈윈 전략이 된다. 이렇게 생각을 하는 게 우리 지역협력 강화관들의 생각입니다. 반대 여지가 없습니다. 그리고 또 아세안과 한국은 서로를 보면 기술의 격차도 적당히 크고 적당히 작다. 그래서 바꾸 이야기하면 일본처럼 지나친 기술의 격차가 일본과 아세안만큼 크다거나 그래서 기술의 이전이 어렵거나 또는 중국처럼 지나치게 작아서 수출 시장에서 서로 경쟁을 해야 되거나 그러지 않아도 된다는 점에서 한 아세안 간의 경제적인 상호 보완적인 관계는 더욱더 높다고 할 수 있다고 말씀을 드릴 수 있습니다. 사실 이제 지역 협력 강화한다는 이 정도로 기대되는 성과에 만족을 하고 비경제적인 분야 지역 협력에는 그렇게 큰 관심이 없거나 의견들이 좀 나눠져 있다 이렇게 말씀을 드릴 수 있습니다. 그래서 저는 사실은 지역 협력 강화로 경제 분야를 넘어서 사회문화 분야로 확대되어 가야 한다고 저는 생각을 합니다. 그 경제협력과 통화의 당연한 결과로서 나타나는 사회문화적 관계의 심화는 한국 사회가 현재 당면하고 있는 많은 문제들을 해결해 줄 수 있다. 또는 이미 해결해 주고 있다고 생각하고 앞으로도 그러리라고 믿고 있습니다. 앞서 제가 말씀드렸지만 동남아인과 국제적으로는 또 맡게 될 어떤 우리 한국 사회가 맡게 될 인구절벽 현상을 제외시키고 또 장기적으로는 다종족 사회가 된 대한민국의 인구와 노동력을 유지시켜 줄 수 있을 겁니다. 동남아의 기술을 이루는 이중노동자의 유입은 한국의 노동력 부족 현상을 지금 완화시켜주고 있습니다. 또 동남아를 향한 한국인들의 어깨에는 그 양국의 경제와 복지의 모델이 될 수 있고 되고 있습니다. 한 아세안 인적 교류 확대는 이중노동자나 노인들뿐만 아니라 학생, 전문 인력, 연구 인력으로 확대되어서 교육기관, 연구소, 병원 등이 단련하고 있는 인력만 또 해결해 줄 수가 있고 또 해결을 하고 있습니다. 사회의 문화적인 관계에 관한 이민 또는 출입국 통계가 보여주듯이 최근 변화가 하도 거치면서 좀 더 정확하게 그 현상을 파악할 필요가 있습니다. 체계적인 연구와 국내적인 연구도 필요합니다. 이제 한국 정부와 국민들 또 사회문화적 협력의 장단점에 대해 좀 더 솔직하게 어떤 입장을 취해야 될 때가 아니냐 이렇게 생각을 합니다. 제가 마지막으로 강조하고 싶은 것은 사실은 한 아세안 지역 협력을 사회문화의 분야로부터 한 걸음 더 나아가서 정치, 안보, 국제 관계 분야까지 확대해 나가야 된다. 그것이 저희 제안의 주된 요점입니다. 사실은 불과 한 3, 4년 전만 하더라도 한 아세안 정치, 안보 분야 협력은 사실은 소수 국가와의 양자관계, 몇몇 중요한 나라와의 양자관계나 또는 비전통적인 안보 분야를 제외한다면 지금과 같은 그런 국제회의 석상에서 꺼내서는 안 되는 그런 주제였다고 저는 생각합니다. 한때 그 냉전의 최전선을 형성했던 동남아 아세안을 창설하면서 중립과 비동맹을 표방하고 지향하고 있습니다. 그렇지만 한국은 아직도 미국과 가장 강력한 군사안보 동맹을 맺고 있는 그런 나라입니다. 그래서 대비가 되죠. 또 아세안은 평화 자유 중립지대 또는 핵무기 자유지대 이런 개념들을 우리가 여러 문서에 그걸 이렇게 명시하고 있습니다. 거기에 대해서 한국은 가장 세계에서 가장 유장된 북한 그리고 북한으로 군사적으로 대치하고 있으면서 있는 그런 화약고와 같은 그런 곳이다라고 말씀드릴 수가 있습니다. 그래서 한 아세안 간 군사안보 협력은 얼마 전까지만 해도 우리가 상상도 할 수 없는 것이었습니다. 그러나 최근에 김정은의 집권 이후에 북한이 국제사회의 여론과 제재를 무시하면서 핵실험과 미사일 발사를 강행하고 한국, 일본, 미국을 향해 노골적으로 핵전쟁의 위협을 가하면서 사실은 아세안은 명시적으로 표현하고 있지는 않지만 한국의 그 체제와 입장을 좀 더 지지하는 방향으로 변화를 보이기 시작했다라고 생각합니다. 이러한 변화가 오늘 저하여금 사실은 단순한 경제 협력을 넘어서 사회문화나 정치 안보 분야에서도 한 아세안 간의 협력을 도모하고 그 협력을 제도화하자는 그런 연대론을 생각해보게 만들었습니다. 한 아세안 연대론은 오늘 제 기조연설의 핵심입니다. 한국과 아세안은 몇 단계를 거치면서 그 관계를 발전, 심화시켜왔습니다. 아세안 창설 이후 첫 20년 동안은 양측은 남북한 등거리 외교 원칙에 따라서 아무런 공식 관계 없이 그저 경제 협력 등만 집중했습니다. 그러다 1989년 12월 국무부 대화관계 수립은 한 아세안 관계의 제도화에 시발점이 되었습니다. 그리고 한국 정치가 민주화되고 해외 투자가 활발해지면서 동남아와 한국은 더 가까워졌습니다. 이에 발맞춰서 1997년은 한 아세안 관계에 큰 획을 그어냅니다. 아세안과 한중일이 동아시아로 확대된 지역 협력과 통합을 추구하는 아세안 플러스 3의 정상회의가 시작되었기 때문입니다. 아세안 플러스 3와 더불어서 한국과 아세안 간에는 정상적인 직접 소통하는 아세안 플러스 1 채널도 가동하고 있습니다. 그 이후 지금까지 한 20년 동안 한 아세안 관계를 제가 2009년 제1차 특별정상회의 때 붙인 이런 슬로건이었는데 말 그대로 실질적인 동반자, 영원한 친구관계, 파트너십 포 리얼, 프렌드십 포 굿으로 만드는데 손색이 없을 정도로 실질적, 지속적으로 발전해왔다고 생각합니다. 한국과 아세안은 지금 전략적 동반자 관계, 스트래티지 파트너십이라는 공식적인 그 관계를 맺고 있습니다. 그런데 사실은 이 명칭은 별로 큰 의미를 보여주지 못한다고 저는 생각합니다. 최소한 위에 있는 미국과만 맺고 있는 포괄적 전략적 동맹, Comprehensive Strategic Alliance 밑에 또 전략적 협력 동반자 관계라는 게 있는데 그건 사실 중국이나 베트남과 같이 사회주의 국가, 이념과 친밀 관계하는 국가와 같이 맺고 있고 또 이 아세안과 같은 전략적 동반자 관계를 맺고 있는 국가나 지역 협력 최소 19개가 됩니다. 그래서 이건 사실은 외교적 어떤 우리 상징, 수사에 불과하지 않냐 이렇게 생각할 수 있습니다. 그래서 한 아세안 관계의 가치와 중요성이 커지고 있기 때문에 이제 우리도 기존의 어떤 프레임이나 사고로부터 조금 벗어나야 되는 게 아니냐 이렇게 생각을 합니다. 그렇지만 아직도 우리가 결국은 우리가 이 정책을 만들거나 정책에 영향을 미치는 사람들이 기존의 그러한 프레임 사고 속에 갇혀 있지 않나 이렇게 생각합니다. 그래서 한국과 아세안과는 경제분야의 협력대로 할 게 없다. 그죠? 그리고 다른 문명권에 속하기 때문에 동남아와 하나의 공동체를 건설할 수도 없다. 그리고 결국 한국 국제해주면서 미국과 유일하게 맺고 있는 이 군사안보적 성격의 동맹관계 이것이 우리가 일종의 한국 생존을 위한 종결자일 수 있다 이렇게 생각을 하는 것 같습니다. 지금까지 한국 정부는 사실 지난 한 4반 우리가 반세기 동안 남북회담 또 하고 사강의 6자회담, 미국의 개입 또 중국의 개국한 압력까지 정말 우리가 사강을 중심으로 시도해보지 않은 것이 없다고 생각합니다. 그래서 남북관계는 가끔 허전적이도 있지만 지금은 핵전쟁의 그 위협과 파국을 지나고 있습니다. 한반도의 통일과 평화체제의 구축은 우리 민족이 꼭 풀어야 될 그런 숙제이지만 그 동북아, 노스이스트 에이시아라고 하는 그런 작은 조그만 그 연습장 위에다가 문제를 수십 년간 풀다 보니까 정답은 찾지 못하고 결국 종이 개별만 없어져 버린 게 아닌가 이렇게 생각을 해봅니다. 이제는 대안을 생각해야 될 때라고 생각합니다. 그래서 과연 아세안이 우리가 그 대안을 줄 수는 없는 것인가? 아세안에서 우리가 그 대안을 찾을 수 없을까? 이렇게 생각하고 저는 제안해 봅니다. 이 시점에서 한 아세안 경제 협력을 노력해서 제가 언급했던 이 상호 보완성, 상보성이라는 개념을 비경제적인 분야, 우리가 사회문화, 정치 분야에 한번 적용해보자, 활용해보자라고 제안합니다. 한국과 아세안 간에는 사실 경제 협력뿐만 아니고 사회문화나 정치, 안보 분야에서도 협력을 통해서 협력하게 되는 높은 상호 보완성을 발견할 수가 있습니다. 한국인들이 동남아를 관광하고 은퇴 이민을 가고 조기 유학을 하고 선교활동을 보이고 또는 반면에 동남아인들 한국으로 관광을 오고 노동자도 이주해오고 결혼 이주를 해오고 또 유학을 오고 유학에서 우리가 상호간에 우리의 초중고 학생들은 동남아로 가고 초중생들은 동남아로 가고 대학생들은 한국으로 오는 이런 상호 관성을 보여주고 있습니다. 또 한류와 또 동남아류 같은 이런 현상들이 서로 문화 현상들이 서로 이렇게 교류되는 이런 걸 보면 이게 우리 한 나라에 이런 것을 상대방에서 찾고 있다라고 생각할 수 있기 때문에 상호 보완성이 한다고 생각합니다. 그래서 사실은 실제로 1년에 800만이 넘는 한국인들과 동남아인들이 서로 상대방의 사회 속에 들어가서 우리가 문화를 직접 체험하고 있다. 그래서 사회문화적인 어떤 협력이나 또는 통합이 진진되고 있다고 생각합니다. 정치안보 국제관계를 보면 우리가 협력을 통해서 또는 나아가서 협력을 넘어서는 어떤 연대나 더 긴밀한 관계 수립을 통해서 이익을 공유하고 극대화할 수 있는 여지가 매우 크다라고 생각합니다. 한국과 아세안은 강대국으로부터 식민 통치를 함께 경험했고 동서양 행정의 실질적인 최대의 피해자로서 어떤 갖고 있는 동병상련하는 그런 관계이고 또 동아시아의 지정화에서 보면 중국과 일본에 대해서 불신의 감정과 어떤 위협을 느끼는 그런 어떤 그 일종의 유대를 공유하고 있다라고 말씀드릴 수 있습니다. 일본과 미국의 압력으로 참여했던 2차 대전과 우리가 베트남전을 우리가 좀 이유가 있는 그런 예외로 인정을 해준다면 한국과 동남아는 사실 무력 충돌을 벌인 적도 없고 또 서로에게 적대적인 감정을 가진 적도 또 품을 그런 그리도 없습니다. 동중국에 대만 남중국에 가로막고 있어 우리가 직접적인 어떤 양측간의 영토 분쟁의 가능성도 없고 우리가 무력 충돌의 위험도 없습니다. 한국과 동남아가 외교관계를 수립하는데 단 한 번도 심각한 갈등을 겪거나 또는 긴장관계에 놓은 적이 없었다는 사실이 우리가 군사 안보 분야의 협력을 전망을 굉장히 밝혀준다고 생각합니다. 한국과 아세안은 서로 무슨 구이진 관계다 또는 형제 관계다 또는 후원수의 체계다 학자들이 이야기하는 그런 불평등한 관계가 아니라 아주 평등한 그 설린 관계에 바탕을 둔 그런 어떤 영원한 일종의 우정, 프렌드십 포크를 쌓아갈 수 있다라고 생각합니다. 한국 아세안은 이런 그 정서적인 유대감을 바탕으로 우리가 정치, 군사, 국제관계와 같은 좀 더 민감한 분야에서 좀 더 긴밀하고 좀 더 제도화된 형태의 협력이나 더 높은 단계의 어떤 그 관계로 나아갈 수 있습니다. 그러한 관계가 줄 어떤 이점은 너무나 많아서 아마 별도 연구가 필요할 것입니다. 분명한 것은 단순히 우리가 1+1, 하나 더하기 하나는 둘이라 할지 10개 나라 더하기 한 나라 11개 나라를 할지는 사실적인 한 이상의 우리가 영향력과 결속력의 증가를 가져올 수 있다라고 생각합니다. 다양한 측면에서 상호 보완성이 시너지 효과를 발휘할 수 있습니다. 새로운 관계 전문가 아세안은 한국 쪽에 일단은 유리하게 보입니다. 중국과 일본, 미국과 러시아가 포함한 4강 사이에서 힘을 쓰지 못하고 있는 우리 한국이 아세안과 또 아세안 10개국과 회원국 그 조립자 우리 도와준 나라가 없게 되면 동아시아 지역 질서에서 세계균형까지 동화하지는 못하겠지만 무시 못할 우리가 한 축으로 또 올 수 있습니다. 그래서 한아세안 협력체는 만약에 실행이 된다면 우리가 중국을 한 축, 일본을 다른 한 축으로 하고 그 세 번째 한 축을 형성함으로써 우리가 어떤 세발속 전자 모양의 그런 안정적인 어떤 국가 체계를 형성해서 우리가 동아시아의 평화, 지역적 안정에 기여할 수 있지 않나 이렇게 생각합니다. 뿐만 아니라 평화, 자유, 중립, 비핵화를 지향하는 아세안의 창설 원칙이 우리가 한 아세안 관계도 관철이 된다면 그 연장선상에서 남북 분단과 북핵 문제도 우리가 해결의 단초를 찾을 수 있지 않을까 생각합니다. 그렇지만 이 한 아세안 관계를 업그레이드하고 제도화하는 데는 실로 극복하기 쉽지 않은 많은 큰 장애물들이 가로막고 있다는 점에도 우리가 유의해야 한다 이렇게 생각합니다. 우선적으로 한국과 아세안 양측은 모두가 연대의 필요성을 인식하고 국민들 사이에 공감대를 형성하는 그런 선결 조건이 필요하고 이걸 위한 정치작업이 이루어져야 하는데 그것이 쉽지 않은 일입니다. 동남아 동북아는 지리적인 구분 또 한국인들이 우리가 뿌리 깊게 갖고 있는 그런 동북아 중심주의 또 반세기 동안 나름대로 구축된 확립된 동남아인들의 정체성, 아세안 정체성이 있습니다. 이런 것이 우리가 이 상대방을 서로 동질시하는 그걸 쉽지 않게 할 것이다 라고 생각합니다. 또 우리 낡은 프레임에 젖어 있는 우리 한국의 지도자들, 정책 결정자들, 지식인들, 이 한미동맹이다 또는 강대국 보장론이다 균형자론이다 이런 것과 같은 전통적인 안보관을 깨고 새로운 미래 전략과 생존 방식을 수용하는 데에는 획기적인 전기가 있어야 될 것입니다. 서상국인들이 아세안에 대한 인식의 대진 전환을 이루고 아세안 연대에 합의한다 할지라도 어떻게 아세안과 동남아의 미래를 선택할 것인가 이것도 역시 어려운 과제로 다가올 것입니다. 남북 분단 상황에서 막강한 군사력을 보유하고 미국과의 안보동맹을 맺고 있는 한국이 평화와 중립을 추구하는 그런 아세안에 대해 받아들이시는 데는 힘든 선결 조건이 요구될 수 있습니다. 또 하나 연구해야 될 과제는 한 아세안 간 새롭게 추진된 그런 협력 관계의 수준과 형태라고 할 수 있습니다. 어떤 수준을 할 것인가, 어떤 형태를 줄 것인가, 어떤 그것은 쉽지 않은 문제입니다. 현재의 수준, 경제 협력이 중심이 된 전략적 동반자 관계보다 상위 수준의 협력을 목표로 한다면 어떤 특수한 또는 업그레이드된 그런 형태의 동반자 관계에 만족할 것인가, 또는 일종의 동맹과 맞먹는 수준의 어떤 그런 특별한 관계, 제가 영어로 practice committee 또는 peace league라고 표현했는데 제가 이거 돌리지 않았습니다. 좀 이따 다시 보여드리겠습니다. 그런 좀 더 높은 단계로 좋아하고 계신가? 아니면 심지어 아세안과 아주 장기적인 과제이고 아주 맹랑하게 될 수 있는 심지어 아세안 가입까지도 우리가 대안 속에 집어넣을 것인가 이런 걸 생각해 볼 수가 있습니다. 특수한 형태의 동반자 관계라는 것은 우리가 국제 정치적인 정점, 군사, 능력까지 포함한 말 그대로 좀 포괄적인 영역에서 동조시설을 구축하는 것이다. 이건 지금 단계에서 한 번 더 나아가는 것입니다. 우리가 더 높은 수준으로 간다면 평화, 자유, 중립, 비핵화의 원칙과 아세안 현장을 수용하는 것을 내용한 어떤 일종의 설린 평화 동맹, 아까 말씀드린 그런 피스리거나 우리가 무슨 커뮤니티 프랙티스 같은 걸 우리가 독창적으로 고안해낼 수 있을 것이고, 더 나아가서 한국의 당면한 정말 어려운 문제들, 특히 한반도의 평화, 영구한 평화, 영구적인 평화 같은 어려운 숙제를 일거에 해결하는 데는 아마 아세안 가입까지 고려할 수 있지 않을까 생각합니다. 제가 지금 드리는 말씀은 아마 많은 분들이 제가 굉장히 헛된 공상을 하고 있다 이렇게 비판을 할 수가 있을 것 같습니다. 지금처럼 동남아와 아세안에 대한 한국인들의 인식과 이해가 매우 부족하고 왜곡되어 있는 상태에서 제가 제안하는 그런 한 아세안 연대문이 비판을 받아서 비판을 받는 것이 저는 당연하다 이렇게 생각을 합니다. 그렇지만 한국인들이 그렇게 집착하는 우리가 동북아시아 또는 동아시아라는 지역도 또 미래 아세안을 탄생시킨 그런 동남아도 원래 존재하는 것이 아닙니다. 선언적으로 또는 옛날 역사, 선사시대 때부터 내려오던 그런 지역이 아닙니다. 현지와 같은 경계도 없었고 심지어 그런 이름도 존재하지 않았습니다. 그런 현대에 들어서 그리고 이제 군사적 정치적인 필요성에서 편의적으로 만들어진 붙여진 그런 이름이 바로 동아시아고 동남아입니다. 그래서 위전, 지역이라는 것은 결국은 우리의 관념, 인간의 관념을 만들어내는 한 개념에 불과하다. 필요에 따라서 개념이라는 것은 항상 새롭게 정의되고 또 재정의되고 또 심지어 폐기될 수도 있습니다. 실제로 동아시아라는 개념은 언제부턴가 동남아를 포함함으로써 외연이 확대됐습니다. 우리는 동북아만 동아시아다 이렇게 생각을 했었죠. 우리 사회에서. 또 동북아라는 용어는 지금 사라질 위기에 처해 있습니다. 아마 한국에서만 그 개념을 쓰지 않나 이렇게 생각합니다. 마지막으로 제가 우리 함석헌 선생의 생각을 한번 인용하겠습니다. 그러니까 이 비폭력, 민주, 평화 이름을 전파하다가 일생을 바친 우리 함석헌 선생은 이미 50년 전에 동남아 열방이라는 말을 썼습니다. 그걸 재창했습니다, 실제로. 그런데 그 동남아 열방 속에는 한국이 포함되어 있었습니다. 제 말씀은 오늘 마치겠습니다. 감사합니다.
Thank you very much for a great speech, Mr. Shin. It was very insightful and informative. And I think, as Mr. Shin pointed out, ASEAN and Korea can be great strategic partners, not only in business and culture, but also in politics and security. This speech in particular provided lots of ideas and thoughts for our panel discussion followed. Now let's move on to our panel discussion. Let me invite our panelists to the stage. We have tremendous panel of journalists from 3 ASEAN nations. Please come to the stage. Aseanjournalists we are having today is award-winning, experienced career journalists from Malaysia, the Philippines, and Singapore. We are supposed to have one more journalist from Indonesia, but he couldn't make it because of his personal matter, so apologies for that. Before we start, let me briefly introduce my friends from ASEAN. From left, Davi Veluar, Associate Editor of the Straits Times, the most influential newspaper in Singapore. He was formerly foreign editor of the paper and previously worked with Bloomberg News, Time, and AFP. And next, in the middle, Dory Liu, Associate Editor of the Philippine Star, a leading newspaper in the Philippines. She's also editor of the Star Week magazine of the Philippine Star. Finally, Philip Bolingan, editor of the Star Online, the #1 news portal in Malaysia. He was editor of Asian News Network and Star's Thailand correspondent from 2006 to 2010. First of all, thank you all for being with us. It is a great pleasure to have all of you in Jeju. And here is how the discussion is going to work. I will say a few things in a minute to kick it off and tee up some ideas, and then I will throw it to the panel. Since this is the journalist roundtable, I want you friends to share your personal view as a journalist. And I want to make this more like natural conversation rather than Q&A session. So if you have any comments, please feel free to jump in. And for audience, as I said at the beginning, there will be time for questions. So please hold your questions until the end of our discussion. Okay, so everything good? Okay, then let's begin. Our first topic is ASEAN Economic Community, or AEC, which is an agreement among 10 ASEAN member states to create a single market with free flow of goods, capital, and skilled labor across the border in the region. ASEAN region has gained greater spotlight following the official launch at the end of 2015. With a combined GDP of $2.6 trillion, ASEAN economy is now the 7th largest in the world and 3rd largest in Asia. Its population is also the 3rd largest in the world with 625 million people. So simply speaking, ASEAN is a land of opportunity for Korea. So I want to start this discussion by briefly evaluating the progress of the AEC integration. So let me start with you, Bobby. Do you see any noticeable progress in the development of AEC integration over the past year? I mean, since the official launch at the end of 2015. How do you perceive the regional integration efforts of the past years?
Thank you, Jay, and for inviting me here. I must thank Ambassador So. It's wonderful to be here, and thanks for this opportunity. To talk about AEC, well, the thing is, we got it off the ground a bit late. If you look at it from pure numerical point of view, a lot has been achieved. But Some very important things are yet to be done. There's harmonization, standards. We don't see banks being able to freely operate across territories. If you look at ASEAN airlines, you don't even see the spirit of ASEAN reflected on the skin of the aircraft, which is recently done. There's a lot to be done. But that said, maybe it is useful in the current context, especially after what we saw in Britain last year, to move things at a more sustainable pace. And I think the whole thing about globalization 2.0, the big lesson is that to do it at a moderate pace that will be acceptable to people. As you know, ASEAN is very, very disparate in terms of economic development and per capita GDP, with Singapore at the top and Sierra Leone country at the bottom. And what was said in the keynote about technology itself, the different levels of adoption of technology and access to it. So, in sum, there is forward movement. Could always be better, but I think it's a positive thing what's happened so far. Thank you.
And do we?
I really have to agree with Ravi. I think the ABC is a work in progress more than anything. As Ravi said, it's significant that we got it off the ground in 2015. Some progress has been made. For example, there is common recognition of certain professions, architecture being one, tourism being another, nursing. Recently, as the Philippines chairs the ASEAN this year, we recently had a forum of the ASEAN Business Advisory Council that focused on prosperity for all. And the focus of that was MSMEs, micro, small, and medium enterprises, which is, I believe, about 90%, 80 to 90% of the economy of ASEAN. So, yes, a lot still needs to be done. Some countries have to catch up with others. Things have to be harmonized, tariff in each country. We have to look at that still. But as a lot of things happen in Asia, we plod along. And we hope the little gains will eventually result in significant achievements.
Okay, this is the Malaysian perspective. In Malaysia, Malaysians live in their Malaysian coconut shell. We have a saying in Malaysia, frog that lives under a coconut shell, meaning his world is under that coconut shell. And I don't think that Malaysians realize that there's ASEAN out there, or that their life have changed, or what. They just go on with their life. They don't realize that there's an ASEAN coconut shell that it is supposed to be living. And it's the same when I travel to like Singapore, Indonesia, Laos, or Thailand. Most of the neighbors, when they think of, they only think of themselves, and then they only live in their own country's coconut shell. So the thing about ASEAN for me, as just a normal, ordinary citizen, not a citizen, a journalist who attend ASEAN meeting, but as a normal citizen, I feel that ASEAN is only for the ASEAN elite, those who attend meetings, those foreign ministers, prime ministers and everything, but it doesn't really affect the normal frogs who live in that coconut shell. So, yeah, that's my point.
Okay, thank you, Chris. Yeah, like our panelists discussed, there was no big bang change over the past years, but I think meaningful progress has been made slowly and gradually. And however, but I'm very positive about the future of AEC. However, on top of internal issues like Ravi pointed out, the development gap among member states and the poor infrastructure in some developing countries, ASEAN is facing bigger challenges from the outside. Over the past years, two important events happened. First, Britain has decided to exit from the EU. I mean, British people voted for an exit from the EU. And Donald Trump withdrew the US from the TPP. So I think these kind of developments indicate that Protectionism and anti-globalization are taking the center stage on the global scene. So I would like to ask you, how do you think these kind of developments will affect AEC integration? And what's your outlook for the future course of ASEAN economic community? Can I start with you?
Yes.
Kevin?
Yeah, thanks for the question. First of all, I don't think it's in terms of people, there's no ASEAN integration psyche among the masses. That's number one. And then I think Brexit has also encouraged the normal citizen to think like, is it worth being an ASEAN member? They don't see actually on how it changes their life. And then also there is no like a common ASEAN stand. ASEAN is seen like a very loose cooperation. And then it might not be helpful. For example, like just take the South China Sea issue, which Malaysia is concerned because China is getting closer to our shore because it's claiming certain islands. So the problem with the ASEAN country is depending on their own national interests, they either support they support China or they're against China. So for us, we don't see much support for being with ASEAN. Yeah, that's all.
Okay. Tori?
First of all, I would like to take off from the South China Sea issue, which obviously is a very important issue for the Philippines. True, on that issue, each member of ASEAN looks at the South China Sea problem from its own interests and its own perspective. That's why we cannot even get a common ASEAN statement, which the G7 issued. And that a very big point was made that the G7 spoke out specifically where ASEAN, which is directly concerned, could not even issue such a statement. And again, we look at the two global developments that you mentioned, President Trump and Brexit. Again, from a very personal, as Philip says, our little coconut shell. We've got that too, Philip. We think when President Trump first won and he declared his America first, bring jobs back to America, alarm bells rang all across the Philippines because the business process outsourcing industry is very big in the Philippines, and 90% of our BPO is with American companies. Now, fortunately, there have not been specific policies on that. And I think President Trump's advisors have said that, well, what he said as a candidate may not hold true now that he's president. So we were told, not to get too excited, that the sword dropping might not actually happen. And with Brexit, I guess everybody still has to see exactly what that means. Even the people in the EU, and they're still negotiating. It's a long process negotiating the exit. So perhaps we shouldn't get too excited about those two things for the moment. Anyway.
Okay, thank you. Ravi?
Yeah. To go back to ASEAN itself, sometimes I think people in ASEAN don't see what was just reflected, but outsiders see more value in ASEAN. I was reading Julie Bishop's speech in America in January, the Australian Foreign Minister, and her speech, about a quarter of it was a plea to America to take ASEAN seriously and work with it. So, of course, there is moderation of expectations. There was a time when ASEAN spoke about a single common market and economy. Now they have moderated the phrase, now they talk about a highly integrated economy. So, but that's the way to go because you have to move with the tide. Everyone knows that free movement of labor is not an easy thing. But that doesn't mean that you stop trying. you build one block at a time. And I think the very fact that Professor Shin here is actually speaking about getting South Korea to become an ASEAN member itself is testimony to that. And just because I will not get an opportunity to bring this up again, Professor, I might just say one thing. The thing about ASEAN is that we'd like to keep really contentious issues a little away. And one thing, if the Koreans come in, is that we fear you will bring your Japanese angle into it. And we in Southeast Asia, as you mentioned in your speech, we had a common colonial experience with the Japanese. But we've learned to forgive, even if we do not forget. But sometimes it looks as though the Koreans had trouble forgiving, and while you continue to remember it every day.
Okay. I just want to add to what Ravi said. The thing about me being just an ASEAN citizen, I would love to have a single currency. That will make my life easy traveling. Is that possible?
I don't think so, and I don't think it should be pursued.
Why not?
Because that's what you just saw in Britain. The whole resentment against control from Brussels, a sense that you're losing control of the things that are important to you, including the value of your currency, that you're dominated by Germany. You don't want that.
Dominated by Singapore.
Well, I'm not saying that. I don't think we would ever want to dominate ASEAN. One of the reasons why ASEAN has been successful so far is because, it's a pity that Foreign Minister Marty is not here anymore. He was here earlier. It's because of the role that Indonesia, despite its size and its heft, kept a low profile, and especially with Foreign Minister Marty, I think it showed its interest. We don't see that coming through at the moment from the current dispensation. And, there are times when I wish that Foreign Minister Marty was still in office.
Okay, interesting point. I think it is very...
Don't have to worry, not in our lifetime.
Okay. It is very important to understand that AEC is different from the EU and any other economic bloc. Unlike the EU, AEC is kind of loose integration among ASEAN member states, so it should be seen as the continuing and gradual process of integration and not democracy. Yeah, so which means we need more patience, we need time and commitment to see the tangible outcome. And now let's talk about the relationship between ASEAN and Korea, and Korea's status in ASEAN region. Over the past several years, Korea has had significant growth in the business and cultural visibility in the ASEAN region, on the rise of a Hallyu or the Korean way. But it is still hard to see activities in political and academic circles. In other words, you can easily see Korean global products manufactured by Samsung and Hyundai. And here, ASEAN people talk about Korean culture, drama, and music. But however, despite this improvement, I don't think ASEAN leaders get the feeling that Korea has a solid relationship with ASEAN and Japan and China too. So I would like to ask you, against this background, how do you perceive the status of Korea and Korean firms in your country? Can I start with you, Doreen?
Again, if you're talking of Korea and ASEAN, it's different from when, say, I will talk about Korea and the Philippines. I take up on Philip's point that, and Ravi's point that ASEAN as a whole is perhaps perceived with greater importance outside of ASEAN than within ASEAN. We're all really comfortable in our little coconuts. Thank you, Philip. I love that analogy. So, Korea and, for one thing, the countries of ASEAN may be competing for Korean investment, Korean grants, factories being set up, things like that. I understand Korea's largest investments in ASEAN are in Vietnam and Indonesia. In the Philippines, for example, and I understand for Philip earlier, in Malaysia, Korean presence has been in contracts, particularly construction. Hanjin is very, very big in the Philippines. I think they have 2 large shipyards there. So if you're talking about a culture that Hallyu and everything is more democratic for all the countries. But even that, I still don't think it is equally has an equal presence in the 10 different nations. So if you're talking of investments, things like that, there really is a competition. And I think that the spectrum among the 10 countries is that the presence of Korea in the 10 countries are grossly different among the 10 different
countries. Should I start by talking about the perception of Korean products? Well, I think that varies from industry to industry. There was a time when Korean products were definitely considered second to Japanese products. But in certain things like electronics, I think you are now ahead. In cars, in Southeast Asia, there's still a premium for the Japanese made wood, but your quality is just as good. Where the Korean skills are not completely recognized is that your skills in innovation. You are right up top. If you look at the Bloomberg Innovation Index in the last 3 years, we've been consistently leading the pack. And as we settle into the 4th industrial revolution, which is the thing that everyone talks about now, this is going to be important, especially finding employment. If you look at the Indonesian import data, you'll see that imports of robotic equipment going up every year, which is very dangerous for employment and all that. But that's inevitable. I think that Korea can work closely with ASEAN in helping upgrade skills, maybe even set up a Korea Tech Center somewhere in ASEAN, where your students and ASEAN students commingle, and then 2 years later they go back into various industries and all that, and then carry that relationship back. It's important for you to do that, because this is the region that's going to be the one to watch. Korea is also putting a lot of emphasis on India, for instance. And I would argue that you should also not dilute your stress on Southeast Asia for that, because if you go to the Samsung Innovation Center outside Seoul, there are 35,000 engineers working there, and 1,400 of them are foreigners. Of them, 1,000 are Indians. And I think you should get more people from Southeast Asia into those centers, or you should open development centers in Southeast Asia. Singapore is ahead in 3D technology, for instance, doing very serious work. There's stuff that you can do together with Singapore. There's immense creativity in the Philippines, and especially in consumer electronics. That kind of creative thinking is going to be very important. You should get more people from the Philippines into your labs. Yeah.
Philip?
Just talk briefly about the Korean company experience in Malaysia. I noticed that in the 1980s, when I was a teenager, you can feel the Korean engineering capability in Malaysia. For example, the Korean company Hyundai, they built the longest bridge in Malaysia, and Samsung engineering company, I think, they built the we got a Twin Tower, which is the tallest building in the world before this century. So Samsung was also building it. So that time you can really feel the presence of Korean company. But then I don't know what happened. The year 2000, and then now you feel that they move away, and then Big Brother China has come in, and then you can see that China is like building like an artificial resort island near Singapore in Malaysia. So China has slowly taken over. But then I also realized that, like Ravi said, Samsung is actually quite big in Malaysia. But maybe we don't feel that. Maybe we see Samsung as Samsung company, but we don't see it as a Korean company. So just using what Ravi explained about Samsung, we can do that also. Like maybe invite Malaysians, and therefore we have a bit of exchange. So yeah, roughly that's.
Okay, thank you for that. Okay, now then let's talk more specifically about Hallyu or the Korean way, because Hallyu is affecting obviously almost every aspect of bilateral relations between ASEAN and Korea. So why do you think Hallyu is so popular among ASEAN people, and do you think this popularity will be sustainable and continued down the road?
Okay, one thing about Hallyu, especially the Korean drama, it has found a way into Malaysian heart. I think that's the last 10 years, I think. Started around 2005 or something like that. And although I'm not a fan of Hallyu, but my wife is a fan, and it seems the Korean drama is really big in Malaysia. But, and I think that the reason she told me is because the theme in the Korean drama is universal. Although the person is Korean, they speak Korean, but it seems the problem is the same. I don't know what problem is, I don't watch Korean drama. I think it got something to do with love, betrayal, a few corporate things, etc., etc. So, and then the question you ask is, well, whether it's sustainable. Okay, the thing is, through my life, I've seen the waves. For example, like once it was the Hong Kong, no, it started Japanese, I think. But I think it started Japanese. We were following Japanese pop culture, I think for a few years. And then I think the boy band or the female band all disappeared. Then Canto Pop took over, and then we were into Andy Lau, Maggie Chung, etc., etc. For I think that was 10 years. And then we were really into it, and then it kind of disappeared. Then now we have Hallyu, which still is there, but not as really big as before. And then what I'm told is the next big one will be the Chinese TV series and Chinese, it's not Cantopop, but Mandarin Pop or something.
From mainland China.
Yeah, from mainland China. And for example, like my company, we've invested in something like Netflix of Malaysia, and then we're buying more into Chinese TV series because it's the nobody's buying their shows and it's cheaper, whereas we can't buy the Korean show, the Hollywood show, etc., etc. So we're predicting that the next big wave will be from China. So yeah.
Okay, thank you. Tori?
You know, before I came, like Philip, I guess I belong to this Neanderthal generation. The only thing I remember about the only Korean novella that I know is that like Jewel in the Crown or something. I told you last night. Only because on a previous trip to Korea we were taken to the studio where it was formed. But I spoke to some of the people in my office who are great K-pop people. And one they said the boy bands, they're still very hot. And apparently they come to the Philippines very often. And now everybody's all agog about BTS, especially since they made it to the Billboard Awards and all that. And I got a pretty good lecture on why Super Junior is no longer around, they're in the military, all this and all that. And even in the Korean novella that's now very popular is Goblin. I don't know if you know that. But they also, you know, I said it's been several years now and it's still very popular. And one comment that I heard pretty often was that they're really able to reinvent themselves. The band, you know, each band comes in with a new gimmick or a new something that keeps the people interested.
Okay, thank you. Ravi?
Yeah, I must confess I'm personally not very receptive to the Hallyu because I tend to watch more Korean golfers on television than anything else. But that said, I'll tell you that when I was foreign editor of my paper until 2 years ago, my editor and I, we decided to open a bureau, or reopen a bureau in Jeju because we thought it was important. And we asked for people to volunteer, to be posted. And it turns out that the person we posted here in Korea was from one of our sister papers, whose specialty was K-pop and Korean drama. She used to cover that. So clearly, imagine a newspaper in Singapore having a dedicated correspondent for that. But of course, it's a bit of a shame and a tragedy that after she got to Seoul, her husband, by the way, is Korean. A lot of her energy has been focused on things up north.
Thank you. Thank you for the news, Ravi. Now let's discuss that how to capitalize on this Hallyu popularity and develop this into other areas, like, the bolstering cooperation in political and security areas. In a keynote speech, Professor Shin suggested that Korea and ASEAN pursue a more comprehensive, stronger alliance by expanding cooperation in politics and security. In other words, with remarkable progress in business and cultural exchanges, South Korea should move toward further enhancing political and security cooperation with ASEAN countries. So my question, what do you think of Professor Shin's idea? And do you have any suggestions for Korea to strengthen security and political cooperation with ASEAN? Ravi?
Yeah. Thank you, Jay. I'm glad you brought this up. I think it's time for you to, tamp down on the Hallyu part a bit and get serious about ASEAN in the strategic sense. In 2010, I think it was, President Lee came to the Shangri-La dialogue, and he spoke about building ties with the rest of Asia and all that, taking the focus away from Northeast Asia. Unfortunately, you got caught back in it, which is probably no fault of yours, but because that's the way things turned out on the peninsula. I think it's really important that you get serious. If you look at mind space, I think the Chinese dominate, and the Japanese are right next to them, and they're trying very hard. I know that if you look at sheer economic size, Korea is not really in that league yet, but there's still a lot that you could do. And I think that speech that Professor Shin made up is, I think, a very good start.
Okay, Terry?
I have to agree with that. And yes, China is huge, Japan too, but there are a lot of things that Korea, there are a lot of strengths Korea that China and Japan may not have to offer Southeast Asia. One, I think people would generally feel more comfortable. Right now there is a lot of suspicion about China. Are they coming in to gobble us up and take over the country? So there are a lot of strengths that Korea can play up to. The concerns in this area are perhaps pretty far from concerns of those of us in Southeast Asia. But then when we really think of the need for cooperation, that's paramount in everything. Particularly in transnational crime and cybercrime. I know in the Philippines we have had great cooperation with the government of South Korea in terms of transnational crime. It hasn't been played out, but I know there has been several instances, specific instances, when this cooperation, without any formal agreement or anything, but just an agreement between two governments to help each other combat transnational crime, that works out. So we can develop that, and I don't think Professor Shin should be hung out to dry for his suggestions. It may be perhaps a few years ahead of its time, but it is something that we really have to look at, and particularly as the world gets smaller and smaller.
Thank you. Kevin?
Yeah, Doreen brought up an interesting point regarding China. I think Malaysia also were a bit worried about China. They're like this big brother who can bully Malaysia if he wanted to. So in terms of security-wise, it would be quite good to have maybe Korea as a security ally, how Japan and sometimes Japan or sometimes US is or Australia, then they can act like a balancing, to just balance a few of this China kind of power. Yeah, sometimes we do get worried when we talk about South China Sea. China is like this is the ready to punch. This is the analogy. China is like a big battleship, and Malaysia is just like a small little rowboat, and we can't fight China.
But if we're 10 rowboats, maybe we can do something. Still lose, but at least if there are 10 of us.
You want to add a comment?
Yeah, I just want to say that even out in economics and tourism context that Professor spoke about, I think there's a bit of a mismatch. We're very grateful that Koreans come in such large numbers to ASEAN. I mean, if you look at the statistics, 1 in 10 Koreans travel to ASEAN every year, right? I mean, if we 6 million tourists and the population is what, 51, 52 million. But the reverse is not, it's not a balanced thing, because I don't think enough ASEAN people travel, and they should. One of the things I think that you should work on in your country is to stress your Buddhist heritage. There's a lot of interest in Buddhism now in the world, especially in this time of the war and peace. And you have historic sites in Jeju, for instance. And I think there's one thing you could do is to work with Southeast Asian countries which also have a Buddhist heritage to promote the East Asian region, I think there's much to be gained. I think it's important that you consider an open skies arrangement with ASEAN. I mean, I was flying from Singapore to Jeju and I couldn't get a direct flight, and I was surprised, given that it's such a popular destination. It should be there. I think it's important to work on that. And I don't know if you're going to bring up what Prof spoke about immigration and marriage. Are you going to talk about that today? Because if not, I'd like to say that I think that's one of the things that we should pay a lot of attention to as well, in commingling, because I think it's important for a graying, aging country to refresh your gene pool. And if what Professor spoke about can be done, I think that's very important for the future.
Yeah, thank you. Very good suggestion. Yeah, I think it is very, Professor Shin's idea is very timely, because as President Moon Jae-in pointed out, now is the time for Korea to diversify the diplomatic partnership beyond 4 great powers. So, given the recent development surrounding Korean Peninsula, such as North Korea's continuing provocations and China's economic retaliation against deployment of Assad.
I'd like to take up a point Bradley made on connectivity between. Jeju is visa-free, I think, for the entire ASEAN. But there are very limited flights coming into Jeju. I think that's why our colleague from Indonesia is also not here. You fly in through Seoul to get to Jeju, you need to get a visa.
Yeah.
And I was very surprised, despite the fact of having a previous Korean visa, I still had a very hard time getting a visa to come here. Because I was pressed for time, I was forced to call the Deputy Chief of Mission of the Korean Embassy to give their consular section a call, because they were asking for so many requirements. One of which was the Articles of Incorporation of the Korea Times. I said, even if I had a month, I don't think I could get that. So, those are perhaps. Japan, for example, has loosened significantly its visa processes, I think, for the Philippines and for all countries in ASEAN. One thing that helped ASEAN a lot was when there's a visa-free policy. Now you can travel all around the 10 ASEAN countries without the visa. But I just found that a bit strange. That it seems to be such a difficult process getting a visa to come to Korea.
Thank you for your ideas. We are a bit behind the schedule, so I think we have to move on. So let's move on to our final topic: the role of media. Media's role is very important to promote cooperation between ASEAN and Korea. But I don't feel that both ASEAN and Korean media has much interest in these issues. In particular, Korean media has too much focus on pending issues involving the US, Japan, China, and North Korea. So I think, we have to take more forward-looking, long-term approach for our future and focus more on ASEAN-Korea issue from now on. So my question would be, do you think ASEAN media has enough coverage of the news regarding ASEAN and Korea? And what role should media play to promote cooperation between ASEAN and Korea? Doreen, can you start?
I think, we go where the news is. And unfortunately, in this part of the world now, the news is your neighbor up north. And what's the tensions here? What I might call developmental issues, like discussing, at least bringing up for discussion, Korea and ASEAN relations, areas of cooperation, has to be a deliberate effort. And, I must admit, we haven't been very, very good in that. But I promise, Jay, after this conference, we'll push. Because that's something we really should look at. Because Philippines, particularly Philippines and Korean relations, go back a long, long way, and they're very serious. So we should just look at it as from an ASEAN-Korean perspective.
Thank you. Bobby?
I agree with what Doreen just said. The news, reporters go where the news is. You can't avoid that. And increasingly, news gathering is getting to be a very expensive affair for even the wealthiest newspapers. And budgets are being looked at very closely. So, what's seen as secondary issues will not get the same priority in the news budget. So I would think that it's really for the governments to do what they can to build up understanding of this. You can't expect the newspapers in this environment to do that kind of social service, unfortunately.
Okay. First of all, in terms of media, I think in terms of covering Korea and ASEAN, we should move away from the print media, because print media is yesterday. So what we should do is more concentrate on. You don't have an online. Okay.
What about your newspaper? Is that dead?
Okay, but online is going up, so it's online. So the thing is, we should cover ASEAN and Korean digitally online, either online and also social media, because it's now. Okay, and then how to make it exciting? Most of our readers, maybe 3 out of 10 are interested in cartoons. But what we notice is, like even our readers, 10 out of 10 will be very interested in more kind of like light-hearted kind of story. And those are the light-hearted stories that will capture the readership. Okay, so what we can do is, like, we can just say Korea Times or even the Star. We can have like a cooperation with maybe Straits Times Singapore and Philippine Star. Then you cover like an event, and then you cover it digitally, which is now, and then you cover it through your Facebook or Twitter account. And then one suggestion is maybe the Korean government or Korean company, they can create a Korean ASEAN icon. Somebody who's famous in the whole ASEAN. You can find I don't know who. Okay, so and then you can maybe even have like a Running Man kind of event where this star will go from country to country and then talk about ASEAN kind of thing, and people will want to watch because this person has an ASEAN has star power. So maybe one way to do it is to forget the traditional way, but go towards more a new a current way to make ASEAN citizen interested in ASEAN. So even like somebody in Pontianak in Kalimantan can be interested in this event.
Okay, thank you for a very effective suggestion. I think after roundtable, maybe 4 of us can work on promoting cooperation between ASEAN and Korea, media-wise.
Yes.
Yeah. So okay, that was a great discussion, and now we are opening up the floor to questions. So, but we are a bit behind the schedule. We will have just two questions. So, Those who have any questions, please feel free to ask. Before you ask, please identify yourself and specify your panelist you would like to ask to if you have any. So, anybody?
My name is Lee. I'm a professor in Jeju. And I'm also attending the next session, so I should be involved in my just one remark and one question. One remark is I really have a different view on AEC, ASEAN Economic Community, from the gentleman from Malaysia. I made about 40 trips in the last 10 years to CLME and South Carolina to monitor regional institutions. And so if you go on the policy level, maybe you may see we must have much emphasis on economics progress in the region. But if you go on the ground, it's really amazing. Now, actually 5 years, in January this year, I made trips 10 days, 9 cities to 9 cities, from start from Ghana, and then all the way there. So 9 cities, and of course more than 4 national borders on bypass or on foot.
So which city is that? I didn't get.
Oh,
Da Nang?
from Da Nang, and just like and Southern Icat, Khon Kaen, Vientiane, Phu My, Lao Cai, and Hanoi.
Yeah, correct.
So 9 cities and the border, 4 national borders by bus or on foot, which is 10 years old, almost impossible. No road, no bridges, no bus. It's you can stay quite a long time at the border gate. But this time, just 10 days, I can finish it. A very long time. So in that sense, you may see from the policy line, still AC is a long way to go, but from the people center, the information fast. That in the last particularly 5 years, it's very moved very fast. That's the one time down. One question is very simple. ASEAN used to be very innocent brokers 10 or 15 years ago.
Would you say that again?
Innocent brokers between South and North Korea. Try to pull South and North Korea closer.
Right.
Whenever we have them troubles and tensions, ASEAN immediately come in and do something to ease the tensions on Korean Peninsula. How much is now? We have a new government here and Trump also, hard pressure plus engagement to North Korea. In that sense, ASEAN is ready or willing to do that kind of innocent purpose role you have done 15 years ago, this time again, because we have the ASEAN Regional Forum in early August this year. That was used to be it's a good occasion for South and North Korea to get engaged. So, do you anyone can say something? ASEAN is willing to do that things again.
Thanks so much for your earlier comment. It's an eye-opener for me. Thanks.
Wanting to respond to that on being an honest broker. Well, Ambassador, 10, 15 years ago, the Chinese hadn't come into mischief brief and Scarborough Shoal and upset a whole lot of things. So probably at that time, ASEAN had a bit more bandwidth to look beyond. But right now, it is so caught up with its own issues that probably there will be very little energy or interest in going beyond the immediate, because it is very serious. What's happening to us, being divided, being sought to be divided. We have to try and hold together against some very big strains, and that is catching most of our attention at this point.
The next question.
I'm from Beijing. I'm a Chinese person. I will be speaking at the next panel on cyber. Of course, the panel is about Korea and ASEAN. One of the things I found impressive was when I traveled to Laos, for instance, somebody mentioned earlier there was no direct flight between Singapore and Jeju, but on some days of the week, you have as many as 3 flights between Vientiane and Incheon and other parts. Maybe not other cities, East Korea. I also work on Southeast Asian research. I'm a professor at Peking University. One of the things I was wondering, given that matter you mentioned, like the transnational crime, like the Chinese problem in the Philippines, you folks, journalists, have a powerful role to play in articulating the sort of rhetoric that would eventually pounce upon politicians and diplomats. One of the sort of directions of work, I wonder if it's possible at all, is for you folks to encourage Chinese, Korean, or for that matter, Chinese, Japanese, whatever else, collaboration in your hometown to the extent possible. It makes very, the obvious better be very quick, but I mean, let me be careful here. It's very easy to write juicy stories about Southeast Asia, the use of the immediate past, wise man's analogy being a playground for elephants, right? And those things are very easy to write. You can write it zillions of years, but after all, it's your homeland. You don't want anybody to come and wreck it. So again, it's a point of reflection from a professor who works on China, Southeast Asia relations. Is it possible for us to encourage more of technical, workable, and agreeable collaboration between actors like China, Korea, China, Japan, and whatever else? And that actor can be defined at different levels. Thank you.
Okay, any comments? Okay. Thank you for the idea.
It's certainly something to think about, something to chew on, for sure.
Okay. And sorry, we are behind schedules. Are you going to be staying around after this session? Okay, then we are running out of time, but they're going to be staying around. So if you have a question, please ask them personally after this session. And before we wrap up, let's hear the last words from our panelists, friends. I will give you just 1 minute each. So just say some last comments.
Well, all I have to say is that all of Asia is going through a period of deep uncertainty and flux. We are people who live by trade and by having open economies. And I hope that Korea can contribute to that process of keeping the momentum of globalization going, and that your country takes a big interest in our affairs. Move on RCEP, if necessary, with a -1 formula, with the laggards that will catch up and come in. And also maybe, last week in Hanoi, the 11 countries, US excluded, have started talking about reviving TPP. And I hope at some point Seoul takes a good look at TPP and decides that it also wants to come on board in the interest of liberalized economies and globalization. Thank you.
Joey?
Not just get into TPP, but take the lead. I think Korea can take the lead in a lot of economic affairs. As a journalist, I look forward to the collaboration between those of us in ASEAN and in ASEAN as well as Korea.
For me, I kind of really like Korea. I've been here a few times. So it would be really great if we have integration, Korean and ASEAN. I just hope so. More integration. Yeah, that's all.
Okay, thank you. That brings us to the end of today's discussion. I think it was great. It was great time for us to hear ASEAN journalistic view about the future course of ASEAN and its relationship with Korea. I believe that now we can reconfirm ASEAN and Korea can be the best bilateral strategic partner. But what is most important here is to mutual exchange between ASEAN and Korea and pursue co-prosperity. So to expand cooperation in politics and security, I believe that South Korea should consider as a friend or a strategic partner, not just export destination or cheap production base. And otherwise, our relationship and cooperation won't be sustainable. Okay, that's it. And thank you for attending today's roundtable. And special thanks for our panelists and keynote speaker and executive forum's executive chairman, Mr. Seo Jung-han. And I hope you will enjoy the exciting lineup of events at Jeju Forum and wish you a pleasant stay in Jeju. Thank you very much.